Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're jumping into something that's at the very heart of web development, how we use JavaScript to reach into a web page and actually control it. This is the magic step, really, that takes a plain old document and turns it into a living, breathing application.
I mean, really think about it. You click a button, a menu slides down. You scroll, and new posts just appear. How does that stuff actually work? Well, it's definitely not magic. It's JavaScript. And it's manipulating the page structure right there in your browser.
The secret ingredient here is something called the DOM, which stands for Document Object Model. The best way to think about it is like a live interactive map of your HTML. It takes all those tags and all that text and turns it into this big tree of objects that your JavaScript code can talk to, read, and, most importantly, change on the fly. It's the essential bridge between your page's structure and its behavior.
So, here's our game plan. We're going to start with the old school ways of selecting things, and then we'll get into the much better modern methods. After that, we'll see how to navigate around the DOM tree, and then we'll clear up a super common point of confusion, node lists versus HTML collections. And we'll wrap it all up with some pro tips for keeping your code nice and clean.
All right, let's take a little trip back in time. We're going to look at the original tools developers had in their toolbox for reaching into the DOM and grabbing the elements they needed to work with.
So these were the original workhorses. Got an element with a unique ID? Bam! getElementById is your direct line. Need to grab a whole bunch of things that share the same class? You'd use getElementsByClassName. And if you wanted every single div or p tag on the page, you'd use getElementsByTagName. Seems pretty straightforward, right? But there's a little twist.
And here is the catch. When you use those getElementsBy methods, you don't just get a simple fixed list. You get what's called a live collection. What that means is, if your JavaScript later adds a new element with that same class, your original variable, that collection, automatically updates itself to include it. And while that might sound kind of useful, it can lead to some seriously confusing bugs when your list of items changes out from under you while you're trying to work with it.
Okay, so what if you could grab elements with the exact same power and flexibility that you have in your CSS? You know, with all those cool pseudo-classes and attribute selectors. Well, that's exactly what the modern selectors let you do.
You can really see the evolution here. We're leaving behind those less flexible, kind of unpredictable live collections and moving into the world of querySelector. Now you can use any CSS selector you can dream up, and you get back a static list. It's a snapshot. A predictable list that won't change unless you tell it to.
So the modern methods are awesome. querySelector just grabs the very first thing it finds that matches your selector. If you want all of them, you use querySelectAll. And this is where the real power is. You can get super specific. Look at that last example. We're grabbing a featured article, but only if it doesn't also have the archived class. That's so expressive and so much cleaner.
Okay, so you've selected an element. You've got it. But what about the things around it? A lot of the time, you need its parent, or its kids, or maybe the element right next to it. This is called DOM traversal, and it really is just like walking around a family tree.
So to go up the tree, parent element will get you the direct parent. But even better is closest. It's like saying, find me the nearest ancestor that's a container, which is incredibly useful. To go down, children gives you a nice list of all the direct kids. And to move sideways, you have nextElementSibling and previouseElementSibling to find its immediate neighbors. It makes moving around so intuitive.
Now this next point is absolutely crucial. Seriously, this trips up so many developers, new and experienced alike. When you select a group of elements, the type of list you get back makes a huge difference in what you can do with it.
Let's just put them side by side. The modern querySelector gives you a static node list. It's a snapshot, and it comes with amazing built-in tools like .forEach, so you can loop over it easily. The old getElements methods, on the other hand, return that live HTML collection. It auto-updates, yeah, but the big gotcha is that it does not have a .forEach method built in, and that can be a real pain.
So what do you do if you have an HTML collection, but you really want to use a convenient method like forEach? Well, the solution is beautifully simple. You just convert it into a real array using array.from. It's just one extra step and boom, you've unlocked all the powerful array methods you already know and love, like map, filter, reduce, all of it. All right, let's bring this all home and put it together into a set of best practices. If you follow these guidelines, I promise your DOM manipulation code is going to be cleaner, way more predictable, and just easier for you and your team to read.
So here are the pro tips to take with you. Number 1, just prefer querySelector and querySelectorAll. It makes your code consistent and powerful. 2, go easy on the IDs. They're global. Only use them for truly unique things like a main page header or footer. 3, when you need to find a parent, closest is almost always safer and more robust than chaining a bunch of parent elements together. And finally, if you get a collection of elements and you need to do anything complex, just convert it to an array first.
When it all comes down to it, it's really this simple. Sticking with modern methods like querySelector just leads to cleaner and more readable code. It's about choosing the best tool for the job. And for DOM selection today, that tool is almost always querySelector.
So there you have it. With these tools, you can now reach in and select, navigate, and interact with literally any element on a web page. The page isn't just a static document anymore. It's your playground. It's your dynamic canvas. So the only real question left is, what are you going to build with it?